Good evening, 6:31. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the June 28th meeting for the Development Review Board. First item on the agenda is the roll call. Would staff please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. My name is Dan Zhu, a planner with Sustainable Development. Jamie Bell, Rick Kane, Brent Hartman,
Present.
Rebecca Herring,
Here.
Deborah Neal Marisi,
Present.
Barbara Vandermeer,
Present.
Evan Thompson.
Present.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda as published? Seeing none, okay. Would someone like to move to adopt the agenda?
I so moved to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Deborah Neal Marisi, sorry.
The agenda was adopted. Deborah Marisi made the motion. Brent Hartman seconded. Next item is approval of the minutes. The minutes have been published. Does anybody notice any additions or edits to the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second that. Deborah Neal Marisi.
The minutes have been approved. Moved by Brent Hartman, seconded by Deborah Neal Marisi. Next agenda item is public comment. If anyone from the public is here that would wish to address any item that is not on the agenda. Seeing none, let's move on. There is no old business. New business. Item number 211338. Would staff please read new business into the record?
Petition number 211338, Glen Spring Road Single Family Lot Variance for placement of septic system. Petition LD 22-000046 VAR, EDA Consultants, agent for Kaplan and Steve Dublin Homes, INC, owners, requesting a variance consistent with the single-family septic setback requirement in Section 30-8.22, single-family lots, for a proposed single-family home with a septic system, zoned RSF1, single-family, located at 3292 Northwest 31st Way.
Thank you. Does staff have a present? Oh, I see you're up there already. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm Jason Simmons with the Department of Sustainable Development with the Planning Division. As read into the record, this is a request for a variance to place a septic system drain field less than the required 150 feet from the top of the bank of the creek and from the creek center line. Now, the subject property is one of 3 lots that were created with a minor subdivision back in 2018. This particular parcel before you tonight is parcel A, which is about 1.29 acres or a little over 56,300 square feet. All 3 lots are currently undeveloped, no buildings, no structures of any sort, and they're all accessed off Northwest 31st Way, which is an unpaved, basically private drive. The zoning in the area is RSF1, residential single family 1, and most of the surrounding properties are also single family structures, fairly large lot single family structures. The map indicates, obviously, this is parcel A. The parcel B is here, and the third lot that was created with that minor subdivision is here. This is Northwest 31st Way.
Excuse me, Mr. Simmons, would you mind pointing at this one over here that we can
sorry.
see? Thank you.
It's been a while. Yeah, but this is the driveway access Northwest 31st Way. The 3 parcels that were part of the minor subdivision are highlighted in yellow. Here's the subject property tonight, parcel A. Parcel B is here, and then this is parcel C. These are the 3 lots that were created with that minor subdivision in 2018. The aerial just showing you what's around the subject property. You see this is Glen Springs Road, which is on the west side of the property. This is just south of the intersection with Northwest 34th Street and just south of the intersection of 34th Street and Northwest 39th Avenue. Here are just some pictures in the area. The shot up here is a shot looking west into the property itself. The shot over here is looking north, up Northwest 31st Way into the adjacent property. The next shot is looking south, looking the other way from where I took this shot, looking south back towards 31st. And here's looking east, which is essentially looking into the backyard of the house located at 3300 Northwest 31st Street, which is in the Chateau Forest subdivision. The lots on that street basically have double frontage. They're accessed off 31st Street, and then behind them is this private drive. And then here's a shot of the house in Chateau Forest, which is east of the subject property. So why are we here tonight? So back in 2018, when the subdivision was being reviewed, it was felt that water and sewer could be provided to all 3 lots by GRU. After the subdivision was approved and upon further review of the situation, it was determined that the sewer connection to the GRU sewer line would require an aerial crossing at the creek. Apparently this is quite expensive, and from an environmental and maybe even an aesthetic standpoint, it was not really looked upon favorably by reviewing agencies. So at that time, it was suggested by city staff to the applicants to apply for a variance to the creek setback to allow for the construction of a single-family structure with a septic system. This is the approved boundary survey and minor subdivision from 2018. The subject parcel is up here. You see to the east is the private drive. This is parcel B that was created in parcel C. This lot was existing before the subdivision, and it is occupied by a single-family structure. So the key issues concerning this petition, reiterating that about the minor subdivision, the creek that runs through the middle of the property located at somewhere in here is Three Lakes Creek. And there are also wetland areas within the subject property. So the creek and wetland setback requirements and other applicable environmental regulations will have to be addressed with this project. We mentioned earlier that once it was determined that an aerial crossing would be needed to access the GRU sewer line, it was determined to be very expensive, not acceptable concerning the reviewing agencies, and thus the need for the variance request. Now, the state of Florida, the Department of Health has already approved a septic permit for the property, which is in your backup. And then the last issue here is this is the site plan, or the plan showing where the house would be located in relation to the proposed septic drain field, and then the distances, the 115 feet from the top of bank, which is the red line here. And then the blue line is showing the 130 feet from the creek center line. And this is, excuse me, just showing the entire parcel with that previous information. I believe the sewer manhole that would need to be connected with is located here.
Could you point at the
Yeah,
other map?
that's it.
Here. I believe the sewer manhole that would need to be connected is located here.
Would you mind on that thing, on that map, pointing out where the creek is, where the center line of the creek is? Is that well defined on that map?
Not on that picture.
It would be about here. Because
Oh, where'd you get that from?
30-foot distance is from the creek center line, so we're somewhere in this area, which would mean that this is, I guess, the top of the
Right.
bank,
Yeah, I got it.
right here.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thank you.
So in considering a request for a variance, the code requires that the Development Review Board establish findings that the request demonstrates the following. So first, that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved and which are not applicable to other land, structures, or buildings in the same district. Again, we talk about the subdivision approved prior to the realization of the difficulty of providing sewer. It was determined that this solution is expensive and unacceptable from an environmental point of view with the reviewing agencies, and thus the request for the variance. As part of this petition, staff is recommending a condition that the treatment effectiveness of the proposed septic system will be raised to a higher level of treatment in order to provide additional protection to the creek, the wetlands, and to abutting lands. What that protection is will probably need to be determined by Florida DEP or the Florida Department of Health in their review or re-review of the septic permit. So the board has to establish that the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the action of the applicant. These conditions and circumstances are unique to the property. The conditions are not self-created, and the subdivision had been approved by the time the current owners had purchased the property. That granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this section to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. A decision based on the merits of the evidence and information presented at the public hearing is considered a sound decision and not one that is based on conferring special privilege. That the literal enforcement of the provisions of the Land Development Code or building chapters would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of the Land Development Code or building code. Again, repeating the problem with the subdivision, the proposal for the aerial sewer connection was found not to be feasible. And so the request for the variance, and without that variance, the applicant would largely be deprived of the ability to build a home on the lot, a right that is available to other properties in the area. Granted, it is a large lot. that has enough square footage to provide a wide range of options for the placement of a single-family structure. But because of the environmental constraints as discussed in the staff report, the actual building area available to meet the required dimensional wetland and septic setbacks is limited. The variance requested is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure. Again, with the distances, the 115 feet from the top of bank of Three Lake Creek and 130 feet from the center line of the creek, those are the minimums necessary to make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure with the placement of the septic system. The variance is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the regulation at issue in the Land Development Code, and such variance will not be injurious to the abutting lands or to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. This neighborhood or the properties around this site tend to be, the homes tend to be placed a little further back from the street than what would be necessary for the subject property, because the proposed house is placed about 22 feet back from the property line in order to comply with the 50-foot wetland buffer in the back. They had to sort of shove the house up to the front, more frontward of the lot. Most of the other houses in that general area, Chateau Forest and some of the other houses tend to be further back than your average residential single-family one setback, which is 20 feet for the zoning district. So this meets all the dimensional requirements, setbacks for the zoning district, and that was necessary in order to stay out of the wetland buffer area. The proposed L-shaped drain field starts in the front of the house and runs onto the south side of the house. At the end, it stays out of the wetland buffer area. It's 115 feet from the top of bank and 130 feet from the center line of the creek. With the placement of the drain field where it is and with meeting the staff condition, the variance is intended to provide a functional and reasonable use of the property that would be in harmony with the overall character of the neighborhood and would not be injurious to the abutting lands or to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. So with that, staff recommends that the board review the application, petition LD 22-000046 VAR, for the compliance with the criteria for granting a variance. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you have, and the applicant as well as the agents are here to present or answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Does anyone from the board have any questions for Mr. Simmons?
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Simmons. I appreciate the presentation and thank you for the diagrams. Those are very helpful. My question is, what are the standards that would normally be applicable that in this case do not meet those standards, and so therefore why is the variance required? I guess is what is the variance permitting that would not otherwise be permissible without the variance?
Mr. Chairman, in our land development code, there's a statement indicating that a septic system has to be 150 feet from the top of bank or from the center line of the creek. It doesn't meet those 150-foot distances. They're limited to the 115 and the 130. So that's the variance. That's the specific numbers that they're requesting.
So normally it would be required to be 150 feet from the center line, and in this case, the variance would allow it to be 130 feet from the center line. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question. Okay, so it said that GRU determined that the connection for the sewer line would not be, like, it was just a feasible. would GRU be responsible for putting in that sewer line in order to make a connection, and therefore they're like, no, we're not going to do it? Or is it the owner's responsibility?
I think I would defer to the applicants who were actually in those meetings to discuss what the specific circumstances are.
Fair?
Okay, so maybe the applicants could answer that question.
Good afternoon, Sergio Reyes, EDA Consultants, for the applicant. When I come back to one of the exhibits that Jason presented in here and can explain the reason of this. Like he indicated, in 2018, we applied for a minor subdivision to create these 3 lots, lots A, B, and C. And it was the expectation at the time that we will be connecting to the sewer, so it wouldn't be a septic tank. The existing sewer is located in here, run north-south in this direction, but the creek is located east of the existing sewer lines. So at the time that we applied for the minor subdivision, create the sewer, GRU indicate, yes, we're gonna be able to connect to the sewer system, and it shouldn't be any problem, so we wouldn't be asking for any variances or for septic tanks at this time. Once the subdivision was created in 2018, then we come back for a site plan or a permit of one of those houses in one of the lots, particular lot A. And then we did some topographic survey of the existing sewer lines and the creek to determine the depth of those sewer lines and the creek and how we're gonna cross the creek at the time. This lot 8 also have several limitations. There is, as indicated, some environmental limitation on the sewer line, in the lot, which limited the development of any structure in just that corner indicated in here. There is a 50-foot minimum buffer from the wetlands, so we had to stay, any improvements has to be stayed in there. And there is also an average of 75 feet. Those are rules and regulations that the county has, but the wetlands regulations apply county-wide, so the city also applied those rules. Those rules were actually changed after 2018, so that's happened when the rule changes and you get in this situation that is difficult. Once we apply for a building permit for connecting to the sewer, because again, that was the original intent. We never intended to have a sewer septic system in here. GRU and discussed it with us and looked at the topography in there. The creek crossing, the creek is actually deeper than the sewer line in the other side of the creek. So the only way to cross the creek is have an aerial crossing. A exposed pipe, they will be exposed to the weather, and with the creek fluctuation up and down and the water and rainwater, that will be deteriorate and very quick, and it will be high risk of that pipe to be damaged in a very short period of time. There are some aerial crossings in the city right now, crossing creeks, and GRU has a program trying to replace those crossings and eliminate crossings. So the only option that we have, because we couldn't do, excuse me, we couldn't do aerial crossing because of the topography of the natural side of the creek and the depth of this manhole, it was get a septic tank. But we had to meet the rules of the septic tanks and the drain fields, and the rule required that we stay 150 feet from the center of the creek. The distance that as you can see in this picture, in this exhibit, we put the septic tank and the drain field as far as possible to the edge of the lot where we meet the setbacks and requirements. The house footprint, as you can see, is going to be completely different house. It got a very difficult footprint for the house. And the septic tank is going to be here. This is the drain field of the septic tank. It's going to be wrapping around the house. The maximum distance that we could accomplish with that, 135 feet. So again, we are not meeting the setback of 150 to the center of the creek. That is the reason we are here tonight, to request for reduction of the creek setback from 150 to 135.
Thank you. I'm still not clear, did the city originally plan to put in the sewer line to make the connection, or was the property owner responsible for making that connection?
The property owner is responsible to connect to main lines, GRU main lines. The cost will be by the property owner to cross the creek.
So the property owner would be responsible for crossing the creek?
If we couldn't do it, yes, but GRU didn't accept the design of crossing the creek because
So when you proposed that to GIU, they gave you the thumbs down? They would not allow you to put in the sewer line, is that correct?
that's correct. Any connections to the GRU system, we have to meet their standards. You just not can do it. There is a standards by GRU and by the state. They has to be done in certain way, and we didn't meet GRU standards crossing the creek.
And was this not obvious at the time of the original plat?
No, it wasn't. First of all, we didn't determine the topography of the site at the time because that's not required, and also, like I mentioned, the environmental rules and regulations of the county changed in 2018, which limited even more how we can impact those environmental sensitive areas.
Does anyone else from the board have? Go ahead.
Good evening. The state of Florida indicates how far the drain field should be from a house. What is that?
10 feet.
Sorry?
10 feet.
And the septic tank you're putting in, are you putting one in that controls the nitrogen levels? This is a big problem in Florida.
The septic tank, they has already approved by the state of Florida. The health department is the state of Florida agency. They have jurisdiction over septic tanks, and we already had the permits from them. Meet the requirements for a septic tanks for this type of facility, as a single-family residential home.
Is that a yes, that you are obligated to put one in that handles the nitrates? Or is
Yes.
that the Department of Health you're referring to?
The Department of Health set the standards, and we meet the
And the
standards.
standards are for nitrogen?
That's correct.
Thank you. And what is the water table in that area?
The water table is substantially low because of the creek.
It's the depth I'm concerned about. So the big problem in Florida is the kind of soil and how deep it is from the water table. We are in a time of very high hurricanes. That means a lot of water. So the chance of serious contamination from the septic tank is very large unless you know what the water table is and how it fluctuates in normal times, because now we're not in normal times. We're having heavier rainfall from hurricanes due to warming. Do you know what the water table level is?
Yes, the water table is more than 10 feet where the location of the house. And just to give you an indication, give you a plan view, the depth between the different elevation here and where the house is going to be, we got around a 30 feet different, vertical difference.
So it's on a slope.
Yes, ma'am.
That helps a lot. It's not clear from the drawings we see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Go ahead.
Just curious, what type of septic system you guys going to be using for this site?
As I indicated in my presentation, we have the permit from the health department. We meet the requirements of the health department, and it's a septic system. They meet the requirements of the state for this location. And what I mean for that, there are different septic systems for depending on the use that we are doing. Single family residential use, they have different specifications and different requirements for that. If we are in certain locations in the state, for example, if we are in one spring or close to other locations, the requirements are different. So the health department already reviewed that. They actually do a field analysis of the site, and it's in your package backup information. They actually go and do soil borings at the location where the proposed septic tank, and they determine actually the size of the drain field and the type of the drain field that we need to provide that for this use.
So the other question I have is, so you don't know if it's a plastic or a steel tank?
This will be actually more likely it's going to be a concrete vault for the septic tank.
Okay. Yeah, there was the other thing is that you have lots across the street. Are none of them developed?
There are some development and they are served by septic tanks right now. They've been there for a long time.
That answers that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you. Was that,
Thank you.
that was your presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And answering questions, thank you. Is there anything else for the petitioner?
Hello, I'm Andrew Kaplan. I'm one of the owners of the property, and I just want to make a couple of points. One is that I worked with GRU before I purchased the property, probably for 6 months, and after I purchased the property for a year with Mr. Reyes and his firm, trying to get them to agree to put the sewer in, which they told me originally they would do. And they told Mr. Reyes originally they would do when the lot split was done. A point that hasn't been mentioned is that these lots are 400 feet deep, and you saw the photographs. It's beautiful wooded land. We're going to build the houses up front and leave the vast majority of the land untouched. Well, to run that sewer line up and down next to the creek and up to each one of those houses, GRU wants a 10-foot easement cleared for that sewer line. I did a little quick calculation this morning. It came to 13,000 square feet of clearing that we would have had to do, which is more than we'll have to clear for the 3 houses. So they finally got the idea that environmentally, the septic tank was better than the sewer. And that's why we've come to this place. This one lot has the restriction on the setback. The other lots don't. And I also wanted to point out that if you see the shape of the septic tank bending around the house, only the last tail end of it is within the 150 feet. The septic tank and most of the drain field is outside of the 150 feet. So it's not an aggressive thing that we're asking for. It's a pretty minor exception. Thank you.
I have a question. What is the total length of the drain field?
Of the drain field?
Yes.
I don't know exactly, but I'm going to guess 100 feet? Maybe a little more?
I just trying to establish just what percentage of the drain field is actually within the 150-foot setback.
Mr. Chairman, the total square footage of the drain field is 375 square feet. It doesn't tell the length, and it is part of your package and your.
375 feet in length?
Excuse me? 375 square feet of drain field.
375 square feet, so how wide is the drain field?
If we say, let's say that we divide it by 100 feet long, then it's 10 feet wide, and this is going to be a very different drain field. It's very narrow and very long because of the constraint with the space.
Okay, well, maybe you could answer me, what proportion of the drain field is within the 150-foot setback?
15 feet.
Do you have a map?
15 feet, so what's the length of the drain field?
Again, they don't calculate lengths, they calculate area to give us
You
an
just gave me
option.
a length 15 feet.
15 feet, the 150 feet.
Okay, so it's on the diagram there, is it?
Yes, it's here. Probably the encroachment into the 150 feet will be 15
Okay, so a
feet.
little chunk on the, okay, so it seems like a very small, I can see it now, thank you, Brent. A very small proportion of the drain field is within the 150 foot.
Correct.
Thank you.
So I have another question. What is the soil type where your drain field is?
The soil types that they found and look at in in the report from the health department, they send you part of your package.
Yeah, they don't give us the tech report anymore, and this is one of the reasons I'd like to request it be given to us when we get our documents.
It's part of your package. It should be because it wasn't in the staff report. It's this page in here, kind of in the back. Let me look at a second.
Could be in here somewhere.
It would be near the end. Well, the tech review, usually there's comments on all of this, it saves a lot of time.
The health department it didn't include the soil report in here, but we'll be glad to provide it to you, to the board.
Well, that's
But-
one of the
but-
problems also in Florida, because there's so much sandy soil. Do you know what is this a hammock? Do you know what the habitat is of the natural woods are?
This area, all this area of Gainesville is considered, they got soil that very sandy at the top, and then when you get deeper, you start getting into sandy soils and clay soils. They're there, but normally we found layers of up to 6 to 8 feet of sandy soil at the top. The septic tank is going to be very shallow in this area, and again, they say it in there, and in the report again. Require 27 inches of fill over the septic tank. Drain fill, not the septic tank, drain fill. So we are not expecting to go and dig out a 10-foot deep soils or anything. These drain fields are very shallow because they're trying to get use of the sandy soil at the top and the upper layers of the side.
Well, yeah, it's problematic. The sandy soil causes the drain field to go down. There's no time for all the bacteria and other parts to be eaten by the organisms that you need in that soil. That's part of the problem. And you're on a hill, so if you've got clay, which you probably do, it's going to make it flow down. We're back to the creek. That's what my concern is with this septic tank. I realize this is a difficult situation. I remember this case from 2018. At the time, it was because it was going to have a sewer line, was the only reason I approved it. I don't approve of going into these wetlands and eking out a little part and then building something. I'm sorry. I understand the drive for it, but it becomes very difficult.
Mr. Chair, again, the intent of the original design was to connect to the sewer line, and it was the decision by GRU to not allow that connection to the sewer line. That's the reason we are here tonight. We always, in the beginning, were intended to connect to the sewer line.
Yeah, and I don't know what that, I don't know how that happens. This is a comment. It's not in any way a negative comment to you. I've seen this in other proposals where something comes up later and there's not a follow through. So what you thought you started with is not what you end up with. That I find that disturbing, and it's not common, but it happens. It's not your fault, like you said. It's the situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Actually,
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Simmons, I have one more question for you, if you would mind. So one of the recommendations was, or one of the things that you mentioned in your proposal was that an added condition of raising the treatment effectiveness to a higher level of treatment, but that's not, you didn't define that, and I don't expect you to define that, but that has to be defined by somebody as what would that, who is defining that higher level of treatment, and is that is that something that the state is responsible for, the Department of Health, or who is responsible for creating and then monitoring that higher level of treatment that would be part of the condition that might be as a part of this variance?
I think we were deferring to the Florida Department of Health and possibly Florida Department of Environmental Protection for the treatment levels. Now, our environmental planner who recommended this condition has been on vacation, so I haven't been able to sort of fine-tune, if there is such a thing, the language as to what exactly a higher level of treatment means or who exactly will define it. But the intent was to, ensure that the septic system installed met as, I guess, as high a level of treatment as possible or feasible to provide further protection, along with the variance and the other things. I think once the environmental plan is back, we'll be able to discuss exactly what this means and who exactly we'll refer to. Again, it was reviewed by the Department of Health, and we can ask whether they can amend their permit or something
So
for
you
a higher
have a
treatment
comment?
level.
I think we need some elucidation here
Yes.
because we can't put on a condition unless we know exactly what it is. So.
Yes, so
Go ahead.
according, Mr. Chair and the members of the board, according to EPA, they did mention that a conventional septic system is typically being used in a single-family home. But however, in this situation, it's very close to the water body. Therefore, there's another one recommended by EPA, which is the aerobic treatment system. So that one usually being used in a municipal sewage plant. However, it can also be used in a smaller lot or for a home close to a surface water body sensitive to contamination by nutrients contained in wastewater situations. So that's the resources from EPA.
So we could specify that this shall be an aerobic treatment system in the septic tank. I know what you're talking about. It introduces air, and
Right.
then you get aerobic bacteria instead
Right.
of anaerobic, and it breaks down much quicker, and it doesn't.
Right, that's the
Smells
same
bad.
process as municipal sewage plant, same idea.
Okay, thank you.
Ask him if he's comfortable.
Yeah, are you comfortable with that definition for enhanced, well, is everybody comfortable with introducing an aerobic treatment system?
Mr. Chair, again, we have to follow the rules in the state and what is said. And again, in your permit, as part of your application, if you look at it there in this area in here, very clear specify what kind of system we need to install and what kind of treatment we need to provide. And I'll read the last sentence, and there is use alternative drain field product for plant design, which means that requiring special as defined by Mr. Su. So they already know that, and they make that as a condition of the permit. It's a condition of the permit already. We don't have any problem with the condition you're putting. I just want to clarify that they are the one that set the standards, the CTO or no, because they are the one that permit the drain field. So they already set the condition in there, and we'll follow those conditions, of course. And if you guys want to include the other condition, that's fine. We still have to do it. Doesn't matter what.
So it may be a specified condition, in any
Yes.
case, the state may specify.
That's correct. We'll follow the yes.
Do you think they will?
Yeah, they already did.
Or did they specify an aerobic treatment?
Yes, that's in their permit already. This is their
So it
permit.
already, in this petition, there already is a condition for an enhanced treatment system.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yes.
Thank you.
Again, we had to follow the conditions of the health department. Doesn't matter what this board decide, we still have to follow the conditions of the health department.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the board? Is there anyone from the public would like to address this petition? All right, I'll close the floor to comments, and then it's time for the board to discuss it. Who would like to
I
kick this
would-
one off?
I would like to have it specified in the condition that the aerobic system be used.
Yes.
Because I don't know if the EPA and the Department of Health do the same thing, quite bluntly.
Well, we
But
could,
we would deal with it by having.
it
as
sounds
part of the
like it,
condition.
you know, at the worst case would be redundant, because it sounds like it's already specified. If we specify as a condition, and that's the condition they're gonna meet, that's,
I would like to have that in it,
Okay.
in the language. Other than that, I hate septic tanks, for all the reasons we already know, and I am very sorry this property is being developed, but it already is, and, so, yeah, okay.
So when this lot split was first approved, there was not a condition that development is conditional on a sewage hookup, even though that was clearly implied?
I don't think it was investigated that deeply at the time it was given. It wasn't
Yeah.
until they started looking at it more deeply, they realized that, there is no connection that's easy to get to in that area for GRU is what I'm hearing. So therefore,
Yeah, it's across the creek.
sewage, the septic tanks are quite expensive in themselves, but it sounds like even so there's no probably gain either way. It's the fact that you're going over a creek, which in itself brings problems, is the problem. So I have to say, in this case, as much as it irritates me, that's a little too strong, I think the septic tank is probably the only way to go if you're going to have a house there.
Any other comments from the board?
I'm inclined to approve the variance, but I agree that, there's no harm in adding that condition regardless of whether it's, something that the state is put in there. If it's redundant, that's fine, but it does make sense for us to add that condition, and then it's either redundant or at least we know that condition is being met. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Any other 2 cents?
That's the only part that does kind of confuse me, because if we can't dictate what those departments do, then what if they changed their mind, or what if they gave a different permit, or what if there was a different treatment plan, and then they no longer can meet that variance? Like, supposedly it's already in the permit, right? And like, we don't have it. So I was trying to look it up, but I don't know if is it actually useful to put that condition in there?
It is, because unless you do, they're not bound to it. I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe them, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it's clearly a situation. I've done research on this topic about these nitrate nitrogen levels are very serious, and being that in a downward slope with the bottom clay down there, even though it's far down, it's problematic. I'm not exaggerating when the water levels are becoming higher because the rainfall is so much greater from these hurricanes. So, and general thunderstorms, you've seen the big thunderstorms coming through, which is typical for Florida, but they're getting more frequent and more rain. So, again, I just very much, I have seen in my lifetime tremendous damage in the state due to pollution of the water, horrifically bad. And for that reason, I am very cautious when somebody wants to put a septic tank in.
Right.
Because they're working hard to get septic tanks out. And the ideal thing would be for GRU to bite the bullet and put a septic system in for that whole area.
Right.
They're just extenuating a bad situation because of that creek. So they've just lost a lot of their creek flow already because of prior years of development, the way it was handled.
I'd like to say.
Mr. Rice, do you have a comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yes, we don't have any problem to put the condition, like I say, expired already the existing permit, and no, we cannot change the permit, by the way.
Right.
It's what it is. So if the board desires to put that condition, we're fine with it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, as much as I appreciate the love and loyalty to the land and the way that you are standing in that position right now, I think a general first principle that's good to follow is parsimony. And it kind of just makes me feel a little uneasy that we're adding this condition, but we don't have to. So there's that part. That's enough.
Yeah, one alternative is to bounce this back to staff and get them to specify exactly what they mean. But I think Ms. Zhu just sort of specified what they mean. And I understand the concepts involved and how this would improve the efficiency of the septic tank. So it seems like a suitable compromise, but in future, it would be good if staff, when they came up with a condition, just detailed clearly the specifications for the condition so that we know what we're all talking about. And in this case, it seems like what we're talking about is already implied in what the state is going to approve anyway. So,
I have a question for him.
Mr. Chairman, another clarification, maybe clarify this. Again, we don't have any problem if you guys put that condition in there, you know. And the way it worked actually process-wise, we got a permit from the health department. The health department come and inspect the septic systems. That's what they do. They sign off and there. But you guys want to include the condition, then the building department also is gonna review the plans when we apply for the final sign off of the septic system is by the health department. They actually go there and physically look at it and they say, yes, you did according to the permit. Here you go. But you guys haven't like to put that condition. We don't have any issues with that. It's already embedded in the permit. But you feel better with the condition, we're fine with that.
So you're okay if we put in a condition for an aerobic surface system?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
okay, any other comments? Is anyone ready to make a motion on this petition?
I will. Seeing that the criteria that we're responsible to consider have been met, I vote that we approve variance number, somebody help me.
Where'd it go?
I'd like to amend that.
LD 22000046 VAR with a condition. You want to do this? Or was your amendment about something different?
Well, I wanted to state that normally we say why we are saying we agree to do it. We go through the different 6 now parts of why it's recommended, which has been laid out beautifully by the city.
I believe
So-
I said that. I believe I said that.
Okay.
Seeing that the criteria that we are responsible to ensure compliance with have been met to our satisfaction, I would like to move that this petition, the number I said, be approved with the condition that the septic system be an aerobic
Surface system.
an aerobic surface system.
Okay, thank you. Someone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
All right. Seconded by Ms. Aaron. All those in favor of the motion just stated, say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 0. Motion made by Dr. Vandermeer, seconded by Ms. Herron. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is member comment. Do any members have any comments?
I have comments. I'd just like to have a request that,
Bye, thank you all.
thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
patience. That we can try to have the documents online. Friday would be ideal, but, yeah. And there was something else that I wanted to make a comment about. I do agree that the new minutes are better, they're cleaner. So of course, that was a short meeting, but otherwise, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. If we could have documents, especially when they're like longer cases. It's super helpful to have it.
And I would,
Before, like, the day
I
before.
would really like to see the tech report, the technical review report. They took that away several months ago. I personally would like to have it in the packet.
Yeah, me too.
It's
Yeah.
digital. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like it's taking up paper. I really would like to see it. It's usually they're not needed, but sometimes you pick up little nuances or something that draws your eye, and I just feel that we have more information. So this one, it was fine. I would like the maps if possible. I'm being picky now, so you can ignore it. I would like the maps to be a higher resolution, because for me to really blow it up and see details, it's gonna,
Yeah.
the resolution fuzzes right out. So these are extremely minor things, but
Well, also, you mentioned you prefer attachments. I prefer links. For the reason that if you have a full-blown map, it's going to be 10 megabytes, and it's going to just fill up my mailbox
Yeah.
like immediately.
Good point.
So
well,
if
they
you
squeeze
could
down
have
pretty small. They're black and whites. They should
If
go
you could have
down
'em-
very small.
links to, high definition maps that we can download if
Or
so
like a
desired.
Dropbox.
That would be fine too. That would be great, actually. A Dropbox would be fine, or Box, or whatever the city has that can share a box. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So those items usually should have a draft agenda online 2 weeks prior to the meeting, and the finalized agenda should be online a week before the meeting.
And where would you
That
see
includes
that
the
draft
backup.
agenda?
The draft agenda is the agenda we saw here, and then
I mean, where would it be
It's on the
posted?
that
Legistar.
should be the link I send you, but I will double check on that, because right now we are in the transition to
Yeah.
the new website and new e-scribe training. So liaison are not taking in charge of that portion yet, but
Yeah, I understand.
that's the change gonna be happen on the way.
It's a bit, there are a lot of changes taking place right now, and I'm aware of that. So I realize it takes a lot of time, a lot of personnel coming in. The website's completely changed, a little bit cleaner. So yeah, thank you.
And I like to make two announcement. The first one is about the board training this year. So tentatively, it will be happening in August or in early September. So the workshop, the training will be in a hybrid mode, in both in person, and also we will provide a Teams link for you guys to remote in. So I spoke with some board members regarding the training. So the feedback I received was hoping to have more alternative times, because the doodle poll I sent out was only included the morning time, but I will work with the city attorney's office to see if we can have any training in the evening or even on the weekend. So with that being said, I will send out updated doodle poll. And the second announcement is also related to the training this year, which is the Florida APA conference in Orlando this year. Will be from September 6th to September 9th, and the section specifically related to us will be on September 6th. City will be able to send 2 board members to attend the meeting. So if anyone are interested, please contact me before July 15th.
Can you talk about what exactly they're covering in the training?
They will cover the new changes mostly by the city attorney.
All right.
So those new changes will be implemented in October.
And are these new changes a comprehensive plan, or are they in how the legal framework is handled?
I think both.
All right.
I didn't see the PowerPoint. He said he had everything ready.
Okay.
So the training most likely will be about 20 minutes presentation from the city attorney, and depends on how many questions we have. So I will probably put about an hour, and hopefully we can get everything wrapped up before an hour.
Okay, thank you.
So my last comment to the board is, if you've not done an APA meeting for the state, I recommend that you go to them. They're wonderful. I've been to 3 of them, so I think I've done my duty. So they really are wonderful. So
And I'd just like to say thank you for being our liaison and work you're doing that supports us so we can do our work. And I just want to say, you guys, she did send this out last Friday.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I have filters, and I need to filter it because it's from a different source.
Yeah, or might be because the first time I email you guys.
Yes.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
gonna look for it.
Okay, the next meeting date is July the 26th. I don't have my calendar in front of me. I guess that was the original date, so. Anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in
Deborah
favor?
Norton Bracy.
Aye. Motion made by Brent Hartman. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.